Welcome, big time Dynasty League owners. Happy end of week 13. Unreal. The time is flying by. That's right, we have 13 weeks come and gone in this football season, meaning we only have 2 more weeks of regular season play and a lot to discuss this week. We are going to shuffle around some of our content for more relevant type of content, and also there isn't much to discuss this week in certain segments. So with that said, let me make a quick announcement. We have voted to change the league name. Right now, we will continue to call it Big Time Dynasty League through the end of the season. We need to finish the season out. No league name changes in the middle of the season. The trophy that I will be ordering will have the new league name, which will be the Finer Things Club, and I am here for it. I love it. It will be a 3-year contract or deal to keep that name, so no name changes for the next 3 years. After this, it will be on our trophy, and then if we so choose to vote to change it, we can do that at the end of that time. So happy about that. I'll have a logo created in the off season to go along with it. So without further ado, let's talk about these power rankings, fellas.
Whoa, don't slip up or get cut. Why not, man? I'm coming for that number 1 spot. All right. Rappers swearing they own top. But I'm coming for that number 1 spot. All right, man. Scheme, plot. Say what? I'm coming for that number 1 spot. Hey, keep it.
All right, let's dig into these power rankings, folks. For the first time all season long, we have exact duplicate from 1 week to the next, a carbon copy of the power rankings. From week 12 to week 13, nothing changes. I double and triple checked, and it all checks out. It makes sense according to these power rankings. So let's talk a little bit about it. Number 1 team, the number 1 spot is Kyler Parkinson's Bums from the Dock at 9-4, retains the number 1 spot in the power rankings. Number 2 is Snip Snap at 10-3, Jordan Smithline's team. Kyler's team is also the number 1 scoring team in the league, so it does make sense, even though he has 1 less win. And this is where things get interesting. Lance's team, Scranton Stranglers, off a loss this week at 7-6, is still the 3rd ranked team in the power rankings. Maybe a little controversial, but we'll see. Big Boobs, Jake Bishop's team, number 4 in the power rankings at 9-4, and he is rolling right now. Myself, Captain Bruisin at 7-6, retains the 5 spot in the power rankings, and Nathan Pierce's Knights of the Night stays at 6 at 8-5, and Uncle Creepy's Frank Bradfield's team also at 8-5 in the 7 spot. Rounding it out, we have Prison Mike, Matt Washawn's team at 5-8, and then JT and Jan's Cans both at 1-12 at 9-10, respectively. So, summarizing it, Bums from the Dock, Snip Snap, Scranton Stranglers, Big Boobs, Captain Bruisin, Knights of the Night, Uncle Creepy's, Prison Mike, JT, and those illustrious Jan's Cans at the number 10 spot. So we have a 7-6 team at 3-5 in the power rankings, and then we have an 8-5 team at 6-7, respectively, in the power rankings. So things will get interesting. We'll talk about playoff odds in just a little bit, along with the standings. But let's head right into that rundown.
Hey, you know what? Do you have a rundown that I could take a look at, just so I know what type of rundown you're looking for?
Just keep it simple.
Keeping it simple, that's what I'm doing. But I am working hard on this one, real hard.
You're working hard on this?
No, not too hard, not harder than I should.
Right. I mean, why work harder than you should?
No,
Okay, the Thursday night matchup, and the networks took a gamble and put Jan's Cans outside of the Thursday night slot for the first time in almost the whole season. Number 4, Big Boobs at 8-4, playing number 8-9. JT at 1-11, and it was a whooping. Jake's team, Big Boobs, takes a 144 to 93 point win. Jake's team gets some solid performances from a few guys. Lamar Jackson struggled with only 16 points, however, but Leonard Fournette continues to eat this season. Playing the Falcons, always favorable matchup for whoever that is. 22 points. Austin Eckler in a bit of a down performance considering how strong he's been all season, but still gets 15 points. And then 2 of the 3 Bills Mafia goes and scores under double digits because that game was atrocious offensively. George Kittle, though, the star of Jake's team this week with 41.6 points and a just dominant performance, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns for George Kittle. And then in the backup for Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison puts up a strong game with 21 points. On JT's side, it was tough sledding for most guys. Russell Wilson scored 15 points. Elijah Mitchell scored 17. And Van Jefferson scored 16. And Harrison Butker did score 11. But other than that, it was a lot of single digit. Jacoby Myers put up a goose egg. And it was a lot of ugh. So on to the 1 p.m. matchup. Snip, snap, snip, snap. Playing Jans Cans in the 1 p.m. spot. And this was not a pretty. This was very ugly. Snip, snap puts up 143 and more than doubles the points of Nate's Jans Cans in a absolute beatdown, 143 to 64. Jordan gets good performances from James Conner with 19. Thank you very much. And Michael Pittman with 17. Mike Williams looks to get back on track. He has a good game and 18 points. DK Metcalf gets a little more involved than last week. Puts up 11, and Josh Jacobs puts up 24, and Devonta Freeman starting to reel off with some put together a string of really strong games with 20 points on his own. On to Nate's team. Patrick Mahomes continues to struggle with 12 points. DeAndre Hopkins with 11, and Devontae Parker with 11, and that, folks, are the only people that score double digits in his lineup. Again, that would be 3 people. He did not start McCole Hardman, so, that's a positive. But, maybe a Khalif Raymond sighting would have helped a little bit, but not too much. On to the 4 p.m. game, Uncle Creepy's and Prison Mike. And what do we have here? We have, folks, in the 4 p.m. spot, an upset. 8-4 Uncle Creepy's plays number 8 in the power rankings, Prison Mike, at 4-7. And what do we have? A 149 to 111 victory. Not even a cheapie of an upset, just an obliteration of a team. 149 to 111. Matt moves to 5-8. Frank's team, Uncle Creepy's, moves to 8-5. Matt Washawn gets big performances from many folks on his team. In fact, every single guy in his lineup this week put up at least 10 points. Every single one, including his kicker. Josh Allen did struggle and only put up 10 points, but Jonathan Taylor doing what he does with 23 points. Saquon Barkley with 13. Hunter Renfrow with another strong game, over 100 yards receiving on the day with 19. Mike Evans with almost 17 points. Logan Thomas, before he ends his season, does put up 13 points. And Michael Gallup puts up 14, and Miles Sanders gets hurt but also puts up 17 points. On the other side, Frank's team really, really struggled. In fact, CeeDee Lamb, Dallas Goedert, and Elijah Moore are the only 3 guys who score double digits. They do put up big games. CeeDee Lamb with 19, Goddard with 28.5 points, and Elijah Moore with 20.6 points. Outside of that, it was a lot of struggling. Adam Thielen goes out with 1 point. Trevor Lawrence, his quarterback, only with 5.8 points. And it was a lot of struggling. So Ramondre Stevenson only 7, Brandon Cooks with only 8, and that is why he moved to 8-5. And Matt gets the big win, moves to 5-8, and is playing spoiler. On to the Sunday night matchup, we have the number 6 team in the rankings, Knights of the Night, at 8-4, playing the number 1 team in the power rankings, Kyler Parkinson's Bums from the Dock, and another blowout Kyler's team, Bums from the Dock, gets a decisive and massive win over Nathan Pierce's Knights of the Night, 182 to 128. Kyler gets a big performance from Tom Brady with 29.6 points. He starts 2 Cowboys running backs again. Does not quite get as lucky in terms of production, but it really doesn't matter. Tony Pollard does put up a strong 17-point performance. Justin Jefferson completely goes off with 36.6 points, and Cooper Kupp is starting to look like the strong, dominant Cooper Kupp again with 27.9 points. Mike Gesicki with 11. Damian Harris, before he limps out with an injury, does score 19 points for Bums from the Dock. And Sony Michel in the starting role puts up almost 22 points on Sunday. So big time scoring from Kyler's Bums from the Dock. On the other side, Nathan Pierce has a fine Sunday, but it's not near as good enough. Kyler Murray does kind of go off. He scores 28.8 points. Cordell Patterson puts up 12. Keenan Allen puts up 22. Tyler Lockett scores 19.8. Gronk with 21.8. And Marquise Hollywood-Brown with 10.5. So some big performances from Nathan's team. They just couldn't get enough. James Robinson only scores up 1.5 points, and he starts Noah Brown with 3.4 points on the Thursday night game. And we move to the Monday night matchup. Myself, Captain Bruisin, playing Lance's team, the Scranton Stranglers. And I get a big win as well, a much-needed win. The only way my playoff hopes stay alive is if I win out, and I do get that first win against Lance. I move to 7-6. Lance moves to 7-6. It's a 186 to 143 win. Justin Herbert scores 30 points. Antonio Gibson scores 22, and Javonte Williams, with finally the opportunity to start a game all by himself, goes kind of off and puts up 28.8 points. Deontay Johnson scores 30.5. Russell Gage puts up 21 points, and Jalen Waddle also puts up 18. My kicker, Matt Gay, puts up a strong 15-point performance as well. Lance's team puts up 143 and almost 144 points, which would have been good enough to beat many teams this week. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough this week. Tua Tagovailoa with 17.86 points. Najee Harris puts up 15. Clyde Edwards-Helaire puts up 11. Chris Godwin has a huge game with 30 points, and so does T. Higgins. He almost scores 29 points as well. Other than that, though, it was a struggle. He starts 2 tight ends. Travis Kelce only puts up 5 points, and Dawson Knox only puts up 3 points. Jerry Jeudy does score 11, and so does Greg the Leg Zuerlein. And that is your weekly rundown. Okay, so we do not have a Ruin the Program award this week, simply because every single matchup was determined or decided by at least 30 points, and a lot of them a lot more than that. So heavy on the blowouts this week, so there's no need to do a Ruin the Program because no single player ruined anybody's program this week. And we will not have a guest interview again, or for the first time this week in a while as well. So let's talk about playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Okay, so our league is really interesting right now. So let's head to the playoff odds machine, shall we? We have 2 weeks left. 2 regular season weeks left. We have 4 teams make the playoffs. According to the playoff odds for our league, Jordan Smithline's team, Snip Snap, has a 100% chance of making the playoffs. So congratulations, Jordan. You are clinched. You are going to the dance. Congratulations. That massive 9-game winning streak did it in for you. So you did it, and then you got to win over the Cans, the Cans this week. So great job there. So that leaves room for 3 more playoff spots. According to the odds, Bums from the Dock, Kyler's team, has a 99.5% chance of making the playoffs, which is essentially all but secured. I don't want to say clinched because There is the odd and rare, very rare circumstance that may not happen, but for all intents and purposes, Kyler looks to also be locked up as well, which would leave then 2 teams left vying for that final spot. Big Boobs has a 97.45% chance of making the playoffs. So I'm not going to say secure just yet because you never know. So Jake looks to be in the driver's seat. Big Boobs with a strong win this week, almost securing him a playoff spot. And then things get interesting. Captain Bruisen's team, myself, last week, heading into week 13, had just over a 4% chance of making the playoffs. As of this morning, or as of today, Captain Bruisen now has a 24.65% chance. So almost a 1 in 4 shot of making the playoffs with the win over Lance's team, Scranton Stranglers. Scranton Stranglers has a 35.57% chance of making the playoffs. He is over the teams that would be remaining after Jake's Big Boobs, Bums from the Dock, and Snip, Snap, Snip, Snap. Scranton Stranglers are in the lead, so if you were to go off the odds, the top 4 teams making the playoffs would be Jordan, Snip, Snap, Snip, Snap, Kyler's Bums from the Dock, Jake's Big Boobs, and Lance's Scranton Stranglers. However, Uncle Creepy's also has almost a 27% chance of making the playoff, and Nathan Pierce's Knights of the Night now goes all the way down to a 15.9% chance of making the playoffs. However, a lot of these teams play each other in the next 2 weeks, so this could definitely change. What we do know is that there are 7 teams in good contention for those 4 playoff spots. The only teams that are mathematically eliminated are Prison Mike, JT, and Jan's Cans. Outside of that, every team has a chance, and the teams that are most likely to make the playoffs at this point are Kyler, Jake, and Jordan. However, Jake, however, is not a guarantee just yet. And then Lance, Frank, myself, and Nathan Pierce are battling for those 4 spots. So let's talk about the standings. We talked about power rankings. We talked about playoff odds. But what do the standings actually say? The standings have a tie for second between Bums from the Dock and Big Boobs, both at 9 and 4. Kyler leads the whole league in scoring, and then second after him is Lance's team, which is why he is so high in those power rankings. So Lance at 7 and 6, in number 6 in the standings, is actually the number 2 scoring team in the league, followed by myself with 1 less point than him, and then Jake right behind him for number 4 scoring team in the league. So Jordan, number 1 seed, Sip Stap Sip Stap. Bums from the Dock, number 2 seed as of today. Number 3 seed is Big Boobs at 9 and 4, and then Frank and Nathan both tied at 8 and 5, with Frank with the slight edge because he has a little bit more points scored than Nathan, and then myself and Lance 1 game behind him at 7 and 6. So very, very interesting stuff. The matchups ahead are very interesting. Nathan Pierce this week plays Jake's Big Boobs. Jake just needs to win, and I believe he is in. But he has to go up against Nathan Pierce, and Nathan Pierce's Knights of the Night are in desperation mode. That is a must-win game. Same for my team at 7 and 6. Captain Bruisen, my team, plays Frank's team, Uncle Creepy's, at 8 and 5. An absolute must-win and a huge game for the defending champion, Frank's team, Uncle Creepy's, as well. A monster matchup, and we'll talk about this in our pre-Week 14 show with myself and Jordan. But a massive matchup just between the 1 and 2 seeds, although both teams securing playoff spots. It could be a preview of what is to potentially come as Jordan and Kyler's team, Snip Snap, and Bums from the Dock go head-to-head this week. Lance catches Jan's Cans this week. And Prison Mike goes against JT. So those are our matchups of the week. No Ruin the Program award, and no guest interview, just an extended talk on playoffs and standings. And with that said, let's go to our top performers.
I'll let you in on a little secret. I've been very much looking forward to this moment. Very, very much. I have been steeped in anticipation. Toby has been cruising for Bruisin' for 12 years, and I am now his cruise director. And my name is Captain Bruisin'.
Wow. Thanks, Michael.
Can I just say that of all the idiots, in all the idiot villages, in all the idiot worlds, you stand alone, my friend.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me.
Hey, that's right. That's right, boys. Back-to-back weeks, your top scoring team of the week is myself, Jonathan Black, Captain Bruisin', your cruise director, and I have been steeped with anticipation for this moment, as I'm also the first owner to go back-to-back weeks as the top scoring team in the week. I finish 9 points shy of our 195-point side pot, which, is just growing by the week. So I miss it. I missed the side pot by 9 points. I had a few guys really kind of underwhelm with the performances. Terry McLaren only scores 5. I mean, I had a good shot at it, but it's hard. It's hard. Nobody's won it, and so congrats to me. I am the top scoring team of the week. So let's dive into the individual position leaders for week 13, starting at quarterback. Justin Herbert, my quarterback, is the number one scoring quarterback of the week with 30.3 points, followed by Tom Brady with 29.6. Kyler's team bums from the docks quarterback. Excuse me. And then Kyler Murray in the third scoring quarterback of the week. Nathan Pierce's Knights of the Night with 28.8 points. Moving to running back, top scoring running back of the week, Javonte Williams. First time in the club, and he is number one this week with the lead back role with 28.8 points. That's my running back, Captain Bruisin', followed by Sip-Sap's running back, David Montgomery, with 28.1 points, followed by, again, Jordan's Sip-Sap running back, Josh Jacobs. So Josh Jacobs and David Montgomery, two Sip-Sap running backs in the top 3 this week. That's a big week for Jordan. Moving to wide receiver, the number one scoring wide receiver for week 13 is Justin Jefferson. Kyler Parkinson's bums from the dock, 36.6 points in a big time performance this week. Followed by my wide receiver, Captain Bruisin', Deontay Johnson scores 30.5 points. And then Lance's Scranton Stranglers gets Chris Godwin into the number 3rd scoring wide receiver spot with 30.2 points. On to tight end. I think we know who that is. The number one scoring tight end this week by a long shot is Jake's Big Boobs, George Kittle, with 41.6 points on the week. In fact, George Kittle is the number one scoring fantasy football player for all of week 13. So congrats to him. Number 2 is Dallas Goedert, Frank's team Uncle Creepy's, with 28.5 points. He's the number 2 tight end. And then number 3 is Nathan Pierce's Knights of the Night, Rob Gronkowski, Gronk, with 21.8 points. And on to kicker, and that is right. Your number one scoring kicker this week is on the waiver wire, Jake Elliott, with another big week and 17 points scored. He's the number one scoring kicker, followed by my kicker, Captain Bruisin', Matt Gay with 15. And then Riley Patterson, the Detroit Lions kicker, also on the waiver wire in the 3rd spot with 13 points. And that, fellas, is the weekly recap for this week. It is a little shorter. We did not have a guest interview. That is primarily why. Be on the lookout. Jordan and I will continue to do our weekly pre-matchup shows. The Week 14 show will be coming out here in a day or so. Happy to discuss a little bit deeper into our league's matchups, and then Jordan's Rational Consumer Picks of the Week. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, everyone, for being so great with this league. I love the engagement. I love what this league has become. We have a very competitive 2 weeks left, so go get them. Best of luck. PSA, trade deadline is at the very end of this week, so you have until the very end of Monday night before the trade deadline comes and goes. So if you want to make any more trades this week, just know that that time is coming and you're running out of it. So you got about a week left to make any deals that you want to make before the end of the season comes. So best of luck to you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great week. Bye.
Now where'd you get that platinum chain with them diamonds in it? Where'd you get that matching Benz with them windows tinted? Who them girls you be with when you be riding through? Man, I ain't got nothing to prove. I paid my dues, breaking the rules and shake fools while I'm taking it. Tell me who's your...
What do you think having a 37-year-old?
We're on to Cincinnati. It's nothing about the past, nothing about the future. It's right now we're preparing for Cincinnati.